Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Vittama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil. And loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Govardhan, before you sit down, could you pull those curtains for me? One note on the pulling of the curtains. We seem to have had a regular program of pulling these curtains and pulling these curtains, always. That should happen only when there's a slideshow. And when I sit down to give class, and this helps now, especially at this season when the sun is shining on that, it helps. I have sensitive eyes, but not this one. We don't need this one. Except maybe, well, not now, but later in the summertime, when the sun is setting back there during the Sunday feast, that's when we pull that. So, okay. So, on this 4th day of November, 2024, in San Diego, California, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 14, Ideal Family Life, texts 30 through 33, but we will chant just text 30 and go on from there. Okay. Sarangsi Pushkaradini Chetrani Arhashvatani Uta Kurukshetram Gayashiraha Prayagaha Pulahashramaha Sarangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Hashvatanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashira Prayagak Pulahashramaha Sarangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Hashvatanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayagak Pulahashramaha Sarangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Hashvatanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayagak Pulahashramaha. Sadangsi Pushkaradini Chaitrananustanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayagak Pulahashramaha. Sadangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Hashvatanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayaga Pulahashramaha. No? Sadangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayaga Pulahashramaha. Anyone else? Kind of tough. Sadangsi Pushkaradini Chaitanyar Hashvatanyuta Kurukshetram Gayashirach Prayagak Purahashramaha. Ladies. Sadangsi Pushkaradini. Chaitanyarhashritanyuta. Kurukshetram Gayashirach. Prayaga Pulahashramaha. Anyone online?
Sarangsi Pushkaradini.
Sarangsi Pushkaradini.
Kshetrani Arhashritanyuta.
Chaitanyarhashritanyuta.
Kurukshetram Gayashira.
Kurukshetram Gayashirach.
Prayaga Pulahashrama.
Prayaga Pulahashrama. For further reference, next time turn your volume up a little bit. Okay. Sarangsi, lakes. Pushkara Adini, such as Pushkara. Chaitrani, sacred places, like Kurukshetra, Gayakshetra, and Jagannath Puri. Arha, for worshipable saintly persons. Ashritani, places of shelter. Okay, sorry. Places, okay, Uta, celebrated. Kurukshetram, a particular sacred place. Dharma Chetra. Gaya Shiraha, the place known as Gaya, where Gayasura took shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Prayagaha, Allahabad, at the confluence of the two sacred rivers Ganges and Yamuna. Pulaha Ashramaha, the residence of Pulaha Muni. All right, now we'll read the translation. I think I'll just read it through. The sacred lakes like Pushkar and places where saintly persons live, like Kurukshetra, Gaya, Prayag, Pulahashrama, Naimisharanya, the banks of the Palgu River, Setubandha, Prabhas, Dwarka, Varanasi, Mathura, Pampa, Bindu Sarovara, Badarik Ashram, Narayan Ashram, the places where the Nanda River flows, the places where Lord Ramchandra and Mother Sita took shelter, such as Chitrakuta, and also the hilly tracts of land known as Mahindra and Malaya. All of these are to be considered most pious and sacred. Similarly, places outside India where there are centers of the Krishna consciousness movement and where Radha Krishna deities are worshipped must all be visited and worshipped by those who want to be spiritually advanced. One who intends to advance in spiritual life may visit all these places and perform ritualistic ceremonies to get results 1,000 times better than the results of the same activities performed in any other place. That was all translation purport. Okay. Purport. In these verses and in verse 29, stress is given to one point, Harer Archa Śāstras Chaye, or Harer Archa. In other words, any place where the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped by devotees is most significant. The Krishna consciousness movement is giving the population of the entire world a chance to take advantage of Krishna consciousness through the ISKCON centers, where one may perform deity worship and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and in this way obtain results with effectiveness increased 1,000 times. This constitutes the best welfare activity for human society. This was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, as it was predicted by him in the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, Anchakanda 4:126. Piti biti ache yati nagarari gram, sarvatra prachar hoibe moranam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted the Hare Krishna movement with installed deities to spread to every village and town in the world, so that everyone in the world might take advantage of this movement and become all auspicious in spiritual life. Without spiritual life, nothing is auspicious. Mogasha, moga karmano, Moga Jnana Vichetasaha, Bhagavad Gita 9:12. No one can become successful in fruitive activities or speculative knowledge without being Krishna conscious. As recommended in the śāstras, everyone should be very eagerly interested in taking part in the Krishna consciousness movement and understanding the value of spiritual life. Om jnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is in the chapter entitled Ideal Family Life. So clearly family life, ideal family life includes visiting these holy places. Now Prabhupada makes it clear in the translation. I didn't see what word was translated as the Krishna consciousness movement, but obviously he's just expanding the meaning of what's being said. And there's a whole list of very holy places where one can go. I think this is like, would be Vanaprastha, part of the coda to family life. But places where you can go, and there are holy places where Krishna performed his pastimes, or holy places where, like Naimisharanya, where the Bhagavatam is spoken. And the places themselves induce one, are conducive to more intense and fruitful spiritual practices. Of course, the most important is Vrindavan. Mathura is mentioned here, which in the greater Mathura area includes Vrindavan. And these places automatically remind you of Krishna. And anything you do there, we're told, I remember the first time I visited Vrindavan, any service you perform there is multiplied, I don't know how many times, 1,000 times. But unfortunately, every offense is also multiplied. You have to be careful. Just like the month of Damodar, right? If you do any service during this month, and it's magnified. So that's great mercy from the Lord. He's giving us. But most pertinent to us, of course, we want to visit the holy places, on pilgrimage when possible. But for the most practical visiting of pilgrimage is a pilgrimage to a temple of the Krishna consciousness movement, which Prabhupada endeavored so much to establish, just as his spiritual master did in India. And his spiritual master was very eager to take it abroad, as we all know. And that was Lord Chaitanya's wish also, as Prabhupada points out in the purport, that these temples are meant to be like places of pilgrimage, local places of pilgrimage, where people can come, they can see the deities. When he says perform deity worship, for most people, looking at the deities with, bringing a little offering and chanting Hare Krishna, they're not going to go on the altar, obviously. But that's their deity worship. Just seeing the deity with devotion, offering a prayer, bowing down especially, is tremendously auspicious for people, for anyone. And that's the whole idea behind these temples. And we who are, if you will, stewards of the temple, who are full-time devotees, we have a responsibility to keep the temple clean, as Prabhupada said, as this famous prayer says every morning, Shri Vigraharadhana Nityanana Shringaratan Mandira Marjanado. Right? So there's the Shringar that we see every morning, dressing beautifully and all of these things in the worship. But at the same time, it's keeping the temple clean, etc. Right? Ada means etc. Maintaining things. I was so happy to see that faucet is fixed in the made tight. Someone came in there and did it. Did you do that? Tighten up the faucet in the deity area. The man who installed it came back. They came back and did it. Good. So that's that. So all of this is our deity worship. I don't get on the altar. I used to anymore, but just trying to keep things ship-shape in here, and in the larger temple, and watching out for things, and generally maintaining the temple. Of course, putting on these festivals in which so many people come and give donations. That's very important maintenance. So that's a great boon to us. This is a great gift that Srila Prabhupada struggled so hard to establish these temples, and also his representatives. this temple, the story, this was actually bought after Prabhupada disappeared, at least 78, probably 79. And so much work was put into it. We have those pictures that Purusha took, those black and whites. You've seen the devotees all working, all the things to make this a temple. That's so attractive and conducive to just walking in. You have your mind lifted up, and it's very auspicious. So that's what's being mentioned here. There are so many places in India. These are all lists of different holy places that for thousands of years have been places where people endeavor to go, and sometimes it's not easy. I mean, now they have the trains, but before the trains were there, that's when the Indians built all the trains, and you practically had to walk there. That was part of the sacrifice. You may walk 100 miles or more to get to Allahabad, which was of course Prayag, for that the melas, the big melas that come there. So the idea is that there are all of these things that have been provided to us to remind us of Krishna, to be fora, to be places where we can hear about Krishna. That's so important. Prabhupada, one of these temples, he was so insistent on the classes, morning and evening class. We're trying to maintain the evening class, but you have your programs in the evening, speaking, from Gita, whatever. And that's an essential part of it. I always listen to lectures, and I remember just recently hearing, so in India, so many times you have temples, but they just become places where the local, pujaris or whatever, they open the curtains a few minutes and then close them, and it's a place where they can live. It becomes degraded. And probably it says with dogs, sometimes they get in there and they live there. In other words, everything requires maintenance. That's the mode of goodness. To keep everything clean, to keep everything inviting, to regular deity worship. But of course, everything going on in the altar is a complete mode of goodness and attractive. That's a responsibility of the devotees here, and it's a great opportunity for us to make advancement and to it's an essential part of the preaching movement. I mean, I love to hear, these stories of the book distribution, people responding, But what happens if they get really interested and they come to the temple and they come to the lounge and maybe they wander into my class by accident, whatever. But the point is that it's ongoing, it's regular, it's our commitment to keep up the standard, to keep up, to dress the deity so beautifully. The prasadam is such an important thing. To make it, very delicious for Krishna, and that it will be attractive to people even if they don't know much about the philosophy. As we've been hearing, Lord Chaitanya's principle, it was for anyone, even illiterates. They could dance and chant, and in the kirtans, and then take prasadam and become blessed, And that's often the way people start out. Of course, it's true that most people come from reading a book. The books are invaluable, no question about it. But to get the experience of Krishna consciousness, the kirtan, these festivals, this Govardhan Puja festival, is this thing still? It looks like there's no more. There were lightning flashes yesterday. I guess some switch was pushed. It's still going on. So this was, I'd never seen this. I've been here so long, and to see the actual water coming down, that was quite an idea, But it means somebody really put their heart and mind into it, to put this thing up. It was obviously such a jugga, and you know why? We can tell because it hasn't come down yet. It's obviously a jugga to pull it down also. But it enlivens everyone. Look at all the effort they put in it. To have a kind. When I walked in, I come at 5:20 to set up every Sunday. So Friday was kind of the Sunday program, with Govardhan. So I came, and I said, "What is that? The static? There's a static in the." I told I tried to find the speakers. I said, "No, that's the sound effects for the storm." Oh, okay, I mean, that was a great service. Someone who thought that up, arranged for it. So that's what's being mentioned here is the place, specifically the places where the Krishna consciousness goes on, and one can become uplifted and get a taste, get an interest for hearing about Krishna, for being Krishna conscious, and experiencing the wonderful mental, emotional, even physical benefits of Krishna conscious culture. You know, I remember the Krishna culture, it's like the Krishna conscious culture, Prabhupada wanted us to be, and I remember the plays, boy, I mean, I was in Brooklyn, and that was where the Vaikuntha players were located, you know, and they were a big attraction. We used to do some plays here when we had more crew, you know, and I think the kids always do them when, you know. But those are also a wonderful way to preach through the plays. Prabhupada was very eager to have that. So that's what this is all about. This verse and purport is here's how, you know, and these are all arrangements of Krishna. In other words, that all these holy places that you can go to, and you have to perform sacrifice to go there. Just like if you want to go to India, you have to collect the Lakshmi, you know, and then there's going there and everything, and it's a sacrifice. But at the end, I mean, has anyone been following? There's these, every so often they have something about the TOVP, and they showed how that they opened the Nrsimha wing, but they're finishing it. I mean, incredible. Just the floors. You know, I knew Ambarish and Swaha when they were in South Florida because I was living in Miami. So I met them, and you know, we became friends. I was one of the few people who never asked them for any money, so we had a good relationship. And and I had no idea. You know, this Swaha was a designer. You know, it's incredible. The floor with all of the and to have the facility. Yes, we'll get this. You know, we'll raise the money for this expensive marble that we can put in there and everything. So that's for the worldwide in the Krishna consciousness movement. You could be enlivened by the development of that TOVP. This was Bhaktivinoda's prediction, and Prabhupada's desire, and it's manifesting so wonderfully there. Is it scheduled for officially opening next year now? Or what is it? Do you know? You follow it? I forget it. They kind of pushed it back. Originally it was 22. Well, that one came and went, you know, and then the pandemic. So anyway, but that's you know, I mean, there'll be millions of people coming through there. It's such an incredible, you know. Already there's so many. So these are ways in which Krishna, he reaches out. He inspires his devotees to establish these centers and maintain them. And that's our duty, you know, here in New Govardhan, to maintain it, keep it, you know, and you know, increase when we can, you know, things. And so it's an essential part of the preaching movement, because it's a place where people can come. They can see the deity, they can hear the holy name, they can hear the classes, they can buy some books, they can get a taste for Krishna consciousness. And if they're receptive and they participate, then they'll get that taste and they'll want to come back. It's all a question of simply turning your attention from Maya to Krishna. And these temples are a main way and centers, you know. Sometimes it's not so much formal things. This is a wonderful facility. But any place where devotees gather, where sincere devotees are there, and they're part of the mission. Part of their mission is to outreach, to reach out, and to give Krishna in all the ways that we've been given, through the holy name, through the prasadam, through the books, through the association, and the festivals. And so it's a wonderful and, you know, ideal family life. Well, okay, participating in this and you know, bringing your family to this. I always love to see Gaura Keshava come with his family. You know, it's like it's almost a personification of this chapter. You know, I mean, it's very enlivening. I don't know if we're going to have his association as much anymore, but that's the idea, and that's what's going on here. All right, any discussion on these points? This wonderful prediction in the Chaitanya Bhagavatam, Pratibhitayacheti nagarari gram sarvata pracharo vimoranam, that in every town and village and every city, if we add, my name will be chanted all over the world. Okay, otherwise we can read on. Okay, go ahead, Govardhan.
Dravida Prabhu. I like how you mentioned that Krishna consciousness is an ongoing process.
Uh-huh.
When we go to the park, you know, we see these different tents, you know, Jehovah's Witness, but it's more like a shift to them.
A shift?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, after a certain hours, they go home. They forget all about, you know, religious life, but for the devotees, we try to live our life in such a way where we actually try to remember Krishna all the time.
Yeah, that's a major distinction. I mean, when you think about it, the Krishna consciousness is a real challenge for Westerners who get so conditioned, and then to come, it's like we know. Yes, how many times do we hear Prabhupada or read Prabhupada? 24 hours a day. There's always some duty, the Krishna consciousness, remembering him. That's the ideal, and that's what you have to work to. Well, that's not easy, to get to that. The Maya is always, with something you remember, or somehow or other, your emotions get the better of you, and you become angry somehow, and then you have to try to cool that out and not make any offense. It's a real challenge to do it, but we have the tools. That's the thing. If you take advantage of the tools, especially the Hare Krishna mantra, and regular attendance. That's so important in a temple atmosphere. Because everyone is affecting everyone else, If you're coming on time, but everyone's coming late, then that's a pull down, And so we have to try to realize, hey, our activity, what we do and what we don't do, is affecting everyone, and is also affecting the atmosphere, which should be as bright and as Krishna conscious as possible when the guests come, so that they're attracted to participate and continue. So we have a great responsibility. And we have the greatest opportunity as well to actually go back home, back to Godhead in this one lifetime. To really become serious about remembering Krishna and serving him and sacrificing and embracing the Sankirtan mission in every way that we can to bring new people in. That's what will please the Lord the most, to see us serious. I remember when I first came, and I was very fortunate to join one of the two main temples in the world, which was Brooklyn at that time, the Henry Street Temple. That's where all the books were produced. There was no foreign books being produced. It was all English books. And I remember after, I don't know, I was there several months, and then one devotee left. So what is that? Why would anyone leave? The idea of blooping just didn't occur to me. And the fun, the amazing thing, there's no cell phones and all of this business, And so what did we hear? You walk through the corridors of the temple, and you're hearing lectures for Prabhupada all the time, or bhajans playing, And then everyone had to be there, morning program, and 4:30, and then in the evening also. And I always loved the evening program because the lights were on. The morning was as you keep the lights down, it was more meditative and everything. But the evening program was like, Kiba Jaya, Jaya Gora Chandra. It's a meditation on Lord Chaitanya's Mahaprakash. Am I right? That song. He's being worshipped as God. He's really, I am God, and he's getting the fan, and he's getting worshipped. And that, you know the meaning, and then the kirtan was so many, and we had so many amazing kirtan leaders just at that temple, But it was a tremendous boost. I never thought, I don't know, maybe I should go back. Never. I was fortunate in that way. But I remember how that the temple atmosphere itself, when you walk in, the incense was burning, and you meet the fragrance, and all the senses and the beautiful deities. And although I got to admit, when I first went, the deities were too much for me because I was more or less an impersonalist meditator. I visited. It was Sunday night, and the deities were there, and I said, "Well, what's all that?" And then there were these guys in orange carrying these huge plates of food. I couldn't. What is all that about? Because I was a yogi trying to eat a little bit. Just raw food. But luckily, I became addicted to halva, even though I was. I was a raw food. I would drink carrot juice, and mix in it. It was all raw food. I would fall down from it and eat bread after a while. But basically. And so the diet, I can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that. So just try this. Okay, all right, try the halva. Whoa, that's pretty good. So they started giving me big half-gallon containers of it that I would take home. It was meant to last a week. It lasted about 3 days. And luckily, that was my first addiction. So and it was all because, the temple was there. It was in driving distance of my house. I had a job, but then I still could drive the car there. So maintaining the temples. That's what this is all about. These verses and so forth is the places where you especially visit to get an intense lift in your Krishna consciousness. A place of pilgrimage, and temples are meant to be places of pilgrimage. So, if there's no more questions, we can read on a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Divija.
I just had like a question out of curiosity. You mentioned how the place, like a temple, should be a place of pilgrimage. That means that there's always pilgrims come in and out like that, Yeah. And sometimes we see that in our temple, during the daytime especially, no one really comes in, no one comes out. So was there ever a time where San Diego temple here, this one specifically, was like that, like a real place of pilgrimage where you'd see devotees constantly visit throughout the day?
I don't recall that. Of course, it's been 35 years, so I may have forgotten at this point. But it was almost always like when there's the programs, especially the weekend, the Sunday feast and so forth. And but I'll tell you one thing: there used to be a lot. Used to have these harinams that we go on. It's the whole temple. On Friday, first was Saturday night, we go to La Jolla. But then it was La Jolla's like there's too much money up there, and the people who come are like. So we started going downtown for many years. Friday night down in the gas lamp, and that was where you'd find you'd be reaching so many people, and a few of them would be really responsive, and you'd see them later in the temple. But no, I don't think that, and I don't think that most temples are like that, where people come during in the middle of the day. It might be in some but you really need to have, and this is what we had in the Dwarka. I remember there was a secretary. Like I know we're thinking Balaram we try to upgrade the lobby area in the front, right? So what really is an ultimate upgrade, but we don't have so many people, is to have someone as a greeter there. Ramapati?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're doing that now. All right. So no wonder. So great. You see, Krishna provides. So So then when it's redone, and we can put my favorite editing, will be when we put Va over the Krishna Hare Krishna temple instead of just Hare Krishna temple, the Hare Krishna temple. You see people start streaming in like anything. You see. It's a natural thing. One of my main contribution to the TLBP. I mean, I when I was there, I gave a little Lakshmi. I didn't have much, but it was they're really talking about it being, the title would be Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Temple of Vedic Planetarium, and because I think Prabhupada said that on a morning walk one time, so that's it, Temple of Vedic Planetarium. I said, I argued with it, that'll just be seen as a mistake, I mean, I was pushing for the Temple of the Vedic Planetarium, but that was too many does. So, Temple of the Vedic Planetarium is like the official name, right? That the is my contribution. And I think it changed everything. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. Okay, anyone else? Yeah, that wasn't. Generally, it's like this, during the day, because everyone is out. Especially if you have so many people going out. When you have, more devotees around, working in the, but what are they going to do in the temple? There's always something to do. But then, if you have people, I mean, when I first came, there was this one devotee. His name Gadagraja. I always remember him. He was working with the press eventually, maybe at that time. And when I would come, I'd come after, in the evening mostly, not too late, but after work. And first thing he would do was take me down to the Prasadam hall, which is underneath the main temple. And he would give me some simple prasad, rice and dal. And while I was eating the rice and dal, or whatever it was, which is always delicious, he would be preaching to me. He would be telling me about Krishna consciousness and all this and that, And so that was a real contact. I had that friend there, And so that helped me to see the Hare Krishna temple as a really friendly place. And eventually, the Super Soul, he intervened. I was praying, I've been doing this so long, I've been trying to, please help me to take the next step, And so the next morning at my job, which was in the hospital, I think I've told that, on the little bulletin board, there was an advertisement for another job in the same field, inhalation therapy. And there was a night shift, and I said, oh, that's great. I'll get the night shift, plus it was a smaller hospital, and near where I lived. And then, I'll sleep a little bit, then I'll get up, I'll go into the city, do my yoga, I can go every day, and it just seemed like a great deal. So I had good recommendation from I had been a good worker, so I got the job, and the first week I think was training, so I was training, and then they said, okay, you got the job, so now you report here. It's a small temple, so a small hospital, so it'll just be you alone. You're not going to have any co-workers at that time. I said, okay, great, I'll be able to chant Hare Krishna. But it was spooky. I think I've mentioned this before, I'd been doing a lot of yoga and a lot of pranayama and a lot of raw foods, and so I was very sensitive, And a lot of people die in those hospitals, and they don't go back to Godhead. They haunt the place. Anyway, it's too weird, It's like there's nothing to do. Everyone's asleep. So I quit after a week. I said, this is crazy. And what am I going to do? Well, but I might as well join the Hare Krishnas. So that's how I joined the temple. So I said, oh, the Super Soul. He inspired me to do this so that I would become distasu with the job. And anyway, I'm always... Any more questions? Anyone online? Tapas, you there?
Yes, Prabhu, but no questions.
No questions. Okay.
We have Vijay Krishna Prabhu also online here.
Who else is there?
Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Vijay, what are you doing? A silent...
vow, observing the... What is the name? Moni? Vow?
Yeah. Oh, you've taken the vow of Mauna.
Of Mauna, yes,
for
exactly.
Kartik? Well, you broke it. Well, you just broke it, so you might as well ask the question.
No, I'm joking, of course. Dravida Prabhu, if I may, I have been extremely busy.
Okay.
Because of Kartik season here in San Miguel.
I see.
And otherwise, and for example, now I'm so busy. I'm doing simultaneously the attending of your class and you're going to be furious because of this, but the service is so much that I'm doing extra service while hearing your class, like garlands and things of the sort.
I see. Okay. Anyway, it's just nice to hear that you're still there. Because we never know that maybe you're in the hospital or something, or travel. I thought you said, oh, you must be in Vrindavan. But I see you.
No, it's not the case. And because of doing what I'm doing right now, I didn't have the time and the mood for preparing a question.
Okay, Vijay. Okay, nice to hear from you anyway. All right, if there's no questions or comments, everyone will adjourn. It's 8:30. All glory to Shri... One more? Oh, the poem. You want a poem? Well, I don't know if I got to do my little Govardhan Hill poem, When Krishna stopped King Indra's sacrifice, that monarch of the heavens threw a fit. Those cowards took that foolish boy's advice. Such insolence I never shall permit. So Indra sent the clouds of devastation to pour down catastrophic hail and rain with lightning, thunder, winds without cessation. The cowards called to Krishna, prayed to Krishna in their pain. To show his coward friends his boundless love and crush King Indra's pride for his own good, Shri Krishna lifted Govardhan above and saved his friends while 'neath the hill they stood. How's that? Okay, close to Prabhupada. We can make that a regular feature of my classes. I do it in the evening anyway.